Joey McGuire, head coach at Texas Tech. Good to have you, Coach. Thank you very much for your time. Who was the most famous person? Oh, by the way, you won. Congratulations. Who was the most famous person that you might have met that you had never met before, maybe throughout the weekend?
Oh my gosh, man. Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Sorry about that, man. Of course, I mean, I'd met Pat, and it was great that Pat was here, and I'd met Coach Saban in 2004 in Cedar Hill whenever he was at LSU. It was the first time I'd met McAfee, and that was I saw him in 19 whenever he did the belly flop on game day, Baylor versus OU. But that's the first time I'd met him, and I listened to that show and I listened to Barstool. Just kind of hear what they're talking about college football, and that was really cool to meet him.
Coach, you have transformed the attitude of this team from a team that was historically, you got to score 40 and then everything else is let the chips fall where they may. Now you have bare knuckle brawlers. That is very much like the you I know from Cedar Hill and from Baylor and on and on. How does it feel to finally kind of have that flip this year? Because we know you've been working on getting that attitude there installed at Tech.
Man, it's awesome, but it's really funny because I'll have, even Matt Dowdy, who y'all know very well.
Yep.
He's used to, like, he's even said, he was like, man, I'll get so nervous, during the game. And then I remember we got a defense. And so they're really not used to the way we're winning right now. At the end of the day, I don't care how we win. I just want to win. But it is nice to be able to play defense and be a physical football team. And different times we haven't played well, sometimes on the one side of the ball, but, we've kind of got out of whack. And that defense just kind of steadies everything and allows us to stay in games. And then, you start just imposing your will as the game goes on. And, that's happened every week but one, when we got beat by a really good Arizona State team.
Coach, a lot of that is obviously talent, but you also hire Shiel Wood. To kind of flip that mindset. I know you've talked about why you hired him, but what have you seen since you've hired him, and how much of him instilling that mentality is part of that success, and how did he go about doing that?
Man, he's amazing. And it's so much fun to listen to. He coaches our inside linebackers. So that's Jacob Rodriguez, Ben Roberts. John Curry is a strong safety, but he kind of goes in and out of the safety room and the linebacker room. And so it's so much fun to listen to those guys talk about Coach Wood and his mentality. Cole Wisniewski put it best last week whenever he was on our radio show. He said he starts with effort. Like, everything starts with effort. He does an effort tape that these guys are fighting and clawing to get on. And then what I love about him, it's very A to B to C, and you can't go to B unless you have A. Like, everything connects. And the last thing, he takes it very personal. Like, he took the Arizona State loss as hard as any coach that I've been associated with. And, that shows how much it means to him and how much he cares about these players. And they play for him. They play really hard for him.
I heard Coach Saban during game day, and maybe it might have been even Friday, and I know you appeared on the McAfee show. When a game like that has so much emotion, so much buildup, and you even did this when you were at Cedar Hill and you were a part of it with that 21 team for half the season, you get so overmodulated you forget to play the game on Saturday. Was that ever a doubt for you last week?
If it wasn't for guys like Jacob Rodriguez, Baron Morton, Lee Hunter, Romello Height, David Bailey, going on and on we're an old football team. Like, we have the two true sophomore running backs, Cam Dickey and Jacobi Williams. And then we have Jacob Ponton, who's a redshirt freshman. Those three are the young guys. And then everybody else are 4 or 5, fifth-year guys in college. And so, man, they understand what we're trying to do, and they hold everybody accountable. I was nervous about it, but every single day I just said, guys, we're going to miss the mark and the opportunity if we don't make it about the football. And you could tell that morning when we got up and we did our first walkthrough that they were going to make it about the football.
The offense this week was a lot of field goals, Joey. In a game like that where that one mistake you make on defense and they can kind of get that momentum back. Until you started kind of getting some of those big offensive plays, what was the pit in your stomach like when you've got to be like, this one's ending a field goal again?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking. I'm always nervous. I try not to let the players see it and feel it. I try to be the exact same, but that was such a big game. And, we've been in some games to where we thought we were about to turn the corner and, and we didn't, and we couldn't get it done or it was, like last year against Colorado, it was big noon and we came out on fire and then we just couldn't hold on and made too many mistakes. And, I felt that our defense was going to let our offense settle in. But, right now, that's one thing. If you ask Mac Leftwich, our offensive coordinator, we're getting down in the red zone. We're just not putting the ball in the end zone. And that's something that we have to correct if we're planning on playing in the Big 12 championship and beyond. We've got to be better in the red zone.
Coach, there was the injury to Quinn Joyner at the beginning of the year, and I know you felt confident about your guys, but seeing Jacobi Williams and then Cameron Dickey obviously on center stage there on Saturday, what have been your thoughts about how they stepped up? And I know you're going to rely on them to some extent, but particularly just kind of the focus being on those two guys. What have you made of what you've seen of them?
Man, I'm really proud. There was a moment, Taj Brooks, we had a lot of players return. Taj Brooks was here, Tyree Wilson, Caleb Rogers, had a ton of guys, and Taj was on the sideline, and Cam Dickey ripped off a big run, and Taj was like really right over my right shoulder, and I turned to him and I said, bro, that was because of you, because he was such a mentor to them as true freshmen, and now they're true sophomores, and they're carrying a heavy load. I mean, Jacobi Williams leads the Big 12 in all-purpose yards, and Cam Dickey's second, and then Cam Dickey leads the Big 12 in touchdowns. And so having two true sophomores play at the level they're playing at, and then it is so cool to see one of them score and the other one react to the one scoring. I mean, they're the two each other's biggest cheerleaders whenever good things happen, and they know how we're going to use them, and they're both going to get used throughout the game, and they know their role, and they're playing at a really high level.
You mentioned Jacobi Williams, a young man from Beckville, Texas, Deep East Texas. There's been a lot of great players that have come out of there. He had 143 combined touchdowns in high school. Now, there are some schools that wouldn't look at Beckville. They're diamonds in the rough throughout that area. You know that. I know that. Tell me the story about recruiting Jacobi Williams and how that came about.
Yeah, it's a great story because of the person that called me. So Andy Evans, who was the head coach at Tatum, won a state championship at Tatum, and just a tragic moment in his life whenever his son passed away, his oldest son passed away, and he was going through a lot. He's a really good friend of mine, and he did a lot for me whenever I was at Cedar Hill. He kind of stepped away from coaching, and he got back in at Beckville almost, just as a mentor and coaches some lower levels. He called me. He said, Joey, I got this little freshman here at Beckville, and he's the best I've ever seen in space. He's so explosive. And then he said, this kid's saving my life because of his spirit. And he said, you're just going to fall in love with him. And so we actually offered him whenever I was there at Baylor. And then he was one of my first offers whenever I got the job at Texas Tech. We recruited our tail-off for him. And, it was really cool. I mean, we lost the game, but Coach Evans and his wife came out and watched Jacobi at Arizona State. And he calls him Pawpaw. They're just so close, and they care so much about each other. But that's how we found him, and I just trusted a high school coach that knows what it looks like. And man, he's been so good for us. I'll tell you a funny story. My son, Garrett, coaches the running backs, and And, we had campers all week. I mean, it started on Sunday, and they called it Raiderville, and they were doing population. The population it got over 2,000 in Raiderville. And Garrett goes, man, I think Raiderville is bigger than Beckville.
It is.
So that was pretty funny. And Jacobi, man, he loved that. He thought that was the best thing in the world whenever Garrett told him that.
Cody Ross and Andy Evans called me one time about him, and just to let me know about some stuff I was doing for postseason awards. So it's a really cool story, what you brought up there. Paul?
Coach, how do you, after, a game, you got some time, how do you keep the guys focused on the cliche one game at a time and not, man, that was a big win against BYU. We've got 10 wins under our belt and all that, and not jumping and fast forwarding through November?
Yeah, one, we're trying to do something that's never been done here. So you know that you've got that in your pocket. But, I was searching for that answer moments like walking off the field. I was already thinking of that. And I go in the locker room. I was one of the first ones in the locker room, and Jacob Rodriguez is in there. And I come over and I give him a big hug, and I said, I'm so proud of you. And his words to me were, Coach, that wasn't our goal other than to go 1-0. Our goal wasn't to beat BYU at the beginning of the year. It was just to go 1-0. And he said, so just remember that, because we got a whole lot more things in front of us. When he said that to me, I was like, man, okay, I'm going to let him do it for me. So yesterday during their lift, before we had our team meeting, he talked to the team and just reminded them what's in front of us. And so we're really lucky to have old vets that are not afraid to speak up and hold each other accountable. And there's some guys that are really driven right now to do something that hadn't been done here.
Yeah, you've got some young talent, obviously, but, man, you've got a lot of veterans, a lot of older guys that are really like the guys you brought in the portal, but then Rodriguez coming back. I mean, it's definitely paying dividends for you. And speaking of Jacob Rodriguez, I mean, I don't know how legit the Heisman talk was when it kind of started trickling and bubbling up there in the beginning, but, man, it feels like there's actually something to it. I don't know if the committee takes notice of it, but it sure seems like a lot of people around the country are going, yeah, hell yeah, why not? Jacob Rodriguez for the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, I've said this. I said this the other night. I want to say it again. I don't want to disrespect any player. I just want him to be. He should be talked about. Like, the reason that I say, you look around and like last year, I really felt like there's a no-brainer. Travis Hunter, he's a generational player. What he was doing on both sides of the ball, and you can look in the past and see different players, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the Heisman Trophy winner. I think the Indiana quarterback is playing at such a high level, and what a play at the end of the game to beat Penn State. And you look at Ohio State's quarterback and what he's doing, and I know they've got a couple of defensive players. But I feel the same thing about my linebacker. Whenever you look at him, what he's doing at that position hasn't been done a lot of times. I mean, the guy's knocked out he's forced 7 fumbles. He's got multiple interceptions. He recovered a fumble the other day. He's playing at such a high level, and then his story is a great story of perseverance, and it's great for college football. So it's like we've said all year long, one of our mantras has been, why not us? Well, I say the same thing about Jacob Rodriguez. Why not him? Why not at least get him in the conversation and then see if they'll invite him to New York, and whether he wins it or not, he's definitely worth the talk and the trip there to be a part of it.
It is my biggest pet peeve with Heisman voters, Coach, that they narrow in on 3 positions when a linebacker, an offensive lineman, a defensive tackle. Look, I think Ndamukong Suh should have won the Heisman Trophy, because he was, if you watched any game, there was no answer he was the best football player in the country, and that's what the award is.
Agreed.
It's just that they get into these statistics when sometimes you're just going to watch the film and go, you know what, I know that this quarterback's good, but maybe this linebacker keeps ending drives before the other team wants him to, and maybe he's the best player on the field today.
I totally agree. I think that Dominican Sue should have won it. And then, I look at it, it's supposed to be for the best college football player. And whenever you start looking at statistics of what people have done, you got to look at like, well, that's been done before, or that's been done before. Some of the stuff that Jacob Rodriguez is doing hasn't been done before, and not, and especially at the level he's doing it. We're not even through. I mean, we still have 2 regular season games. I mean, there's a good chance he's in double digits of causing fumbles and turnovers and everything. And so I think that's something that we've got to look at, because he's definitely played as good as anybody in the country position-wise.
Joey, it's still a stat that's staggering to me that the 2008 team, when they had Tech and Texas and Oklahoma, had that three-way jungle, so to speak, when it came to the tiebreakers, and OU got in with the BCS, that Texas Tech has not won or even played for a Big 12 title since it began in '96. How much is that ever even brought up, or has an itch that everybody wants to scratch?
We don't bring it up with a team or anything. We bring it up as a staff, and I think if you go all the way back where y'all interviewed me in Big 12 Media Day, I mean, I said that was something that we've got to do, and we need to do it this year. It's one of that one box that hasn't been checked as far as what people can use against us in recruiting. I mean, you can't use facilities, you can't use revenue share, but we've never won the Big 12 and we've never played in the game. And so that's why it's so important, what we're doing right now. But the team, I don't have to say a lot to them. They know what they have, a goal, and they hold each other accountable at a really high level. And it's just my job to try to make sure that they're healthy getting to Saturday, and we've got a great game plan and we're ready to play, and, let them take care of it.
Joey McGuire, head football coach at Texas Tech, with us on 365 Sports. Joey, it's 1-0. I even sent Matt Dowdy a text. I said 1-0, next man, all that. How hard, though, is that? And you mentioned the seniors or upperclassmen leadership. Like, how hard is it to stop thinking about Saturday, or is it because this team has much bigger fish to fry?
It's not hard for me, but that's not a good thing sometimes. Like, I get all these texts from all my buddies and my mentors, and Gina Farmer, my old AD, and she's like, I hope you're enjoying this. And what I enjoy is coming in the building every day and being around my players. That's what I enjoy. But, I thought about that for a very short time Saturday, and then I was on to the next thing, trying to make sure that I, uncovered everything that I need to uncover. And I think, as a player, it's tough because, man, I'm telling you guys, you walked out of our building Sunday through Saturday, there were thousands of tents. I mean, Thursday night, I don't know if any college bar made a dime in Lubbock, Texas, because there was a raid going on for 24 hours outside of our office. I got in the building at 5:30 Friday morning, and those kids hadn't slept. Like, they had DJs, they had barbers out there, they had nail salons out there. I mean, it was crazy. So, you got to get them to play, ready to play. Then you have college game day. But it's good that we have senior day. It's good that this is the last time these guys are going to play at home this year. It's good that we won and we know what's next. And so we'll push those buttons and we'll have a great week, and we'll see if we can't get after a really good, it's crazy. You look at UCF, and then if you look ahead that next week, those two teams are playing their best football. I mean, UCF should have beat Houston last week. It came down right to the wire. So we're not going to take anybody lightly. That bite you, and we don't want to get bit right now. We want to make sure that we control our destiny.
Okay, a couple more things, and thank you, Joey. Congratulations on the win. What night did you sleep better, Friday night or Saturday, whenever the hell you went to bed?
No, it'd have to be Saturday. I didn't sleep hardly at all on Friday night, man. I was, one being an 11 a.m. kick, I knew I was going to be up really early, and so I laid there in the hotel room looking at the ceiling most of the night, and I did get some sleep on Saturday. Really, I probably slept better last night because I was just exhausted from the 2 days, and got caught up. But man, what a life, what a moment. I'm telling you guys, I'm so proud of this student body and this fan base. It was so electric on Saturday, and it was so much fun to be a part of.
Well, that was going to be my other question about just looking around and embracing all of it and cherishing the moment. And I know there's more to come. To just everybody, it could not have gone much better. And the weather cooperated with you because it could have gotten nasty 6 or 7 hours earlier than it did. Thank you very much for your time.
We have some super chats.
Yeah, we got a couple of people in the Kim Coulter. He is, there's a lot of Texas Tech fans that watch and view our show. Thank you for bringing Joey on. Wreckham. What was the other one, Brandon? We get another one from Katie Rader, another huge fan. Go Joey, go Wreckham. A lot of people obviously enjoying the moment right now. And like you said, enjoy it. Don't take any of it for granted. And thank you very much for being a part of our show.
You bet, man. I'm always here for you guys. I mean, I love what you guys do. And anytime you need me to come on to talk about whatever, man, I'm all in.
Okay, so it's 365 Sports, then McAfee, and then Barstool in order. That's your favorite shows, right?
You already know that, man. We've been doing this together a
long time.
Yes,
Congratulations,
sir.
Joey. Thank you very much.
Man.
Still much more to do, and got to remain focused. And Joey McGuire, thanks to Matt Dowdy of Texas Tech for giving us time with